Welcome, everybody, to the Don Lemon Show, Hot Topics. There you see her. We have another very, very important guest this morning, and that is none other than Miss Joy Reid. Joy, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm better than Donald Trump.
By the way.
Huh?
Nothing going on in the news, by the way, that we can talk about today. What do you think?
It's been such a quiet summer. I don't know. It's been such a slow summer. No, there's a lot going on. I mean, I'm just glad I woke up this morning and I am not Donald Trump, because I know he is scared shitless about all the stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, something is going on. I got to fix my TikTok because something is happening. But anyways, Joy, I want to play this, all right? Because we know what happened. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. He got the news. Well, he got the news in May, but we found out yesterday, okay?
Yeah.
We found out yesterday. And so we'll talk about that. But I want to play this because I think it's really, really important for people to see. And this is a deposition from Jeffrey Epstein back in the day. The date is on, I forget the exact date, but I want you guys to listen very closely. Here it is.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Joy?
Wow.
Joy, that is the 5th Amendment, which is the right to incriminate myself. 6th and 14th Amendment. I mean,
the reality is he could have easily said absolutely not, right? So what that means is that he cannot swear under oath, under pain of perjury, that he's not socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of people underage. Now, literally last night on the Joy Reid Show, we interviewed Uncle Luke, Luther Campbell, we both know. And Luke has said on his podcast and said last night with me that there were parties that he was at where he can't swear people were 18 and not 17. That he's like, people all look young. There are a lot of pageant girls there, etc. But he felt uncomfortable at some of the parties at Mar-a-Lago. They got too hot for him. And he said he pieced out and left parties where there were lots of other Black celebrities there. He named some of the ones that partied all. They used to all party at Mar-a-Lago. And he was like, sometimes those parties were too much for me. And he's Uncle Luke, the guy who wrote Doo Doo Brown.
You had to remind us that. Amazing. Yes, you're absolutely 100% right. Joy, but I just don't understand how there can be people who are out there now after this, after knowing, we don't know what's in there, how he's in there. There are a lot of people supposedly who's in there, allegedly. And if they are, then they deserve to suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But the fact that he is mentioned in there and he knew about it all along, and then he lied last week to the press, and then basically to the American people in the world that he had not been informed that his name appeared in the Epstein files. And it turns out it appears 14 times. How could anyone not be suspicious? Or how can people still be Donald Trump stans?
The problem for Donald Trump is that the circumstantial evidence is not in his favor. Donald Trump, during that time in the 90s, was friends with 2 other men who were accused of being sexually predatory toward either minors or very young women, models. Jean-Luc, I'm trying to really quickly make sure I get his name right. His name was Jean-Luc Brunel. They used to call him the Ghost. He is the founder of Karen Models. He was accused of being predatory toward models in the 90s. He was friends with John Casablancas, who, if you were in New York in the 90s, you remember John Casablancas modeling. He owned Elite Modeling Agency, who Ivanka began modeling for when she was only 14 years old. She used to do runway and stuff for Elite models. That guy was also accused of being predatory toward women. And I believe Jean-Luc is the one who died of suicide, supposedly, in France while he was being charged with sexually abusing the models that were working for him. He died not long after Jeffrey Epstein died, supposedly of suicide in the US. It's like, there are just too many coincidences. Donald Trump is friends with a lot of predatory dudes, right? It's like, if you were hanging out with the diddler, it's like you were hanging out with him. And so the question becomes, it's not as if Donald Trump has been accused of doing what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, but the idea that he didn't know, he had no idea that he was doing it, becomes harder and harder when you find out his full circle of friends at the time.
You saw him with Caroline Leavitt on the lawn, and I mentioned that, him with Caroline Leavitt on the White House lawn. If we can get that, I think it's from yesterday, guys, where Donald Trump is denying having been told, and he says it with a straight face. And now Caroline Leavitt is looking at him like, maybe she knows something. I'm not sure how much she knows as the White House press secretary, because it appears to me when she gets out there, and I'm like, did they not inform her? Was she not included in the meeting? Because she does not have the right information. But I want you to listen to this, and then we're going to go through the timeline just quickly of what they had been informed about. But this was just last week. Here it is.
The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein.
Okay.
On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden. We went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
Okay. He had not been reformed. Okay, look, it is made up.
Russia, Comey, Obama.
From the exclusive from the Wall Street Journal yesterday, in the second paragraph, it says, in May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. The officials said many other high-profile figures are also named. Trump was told being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. However, he knew he lied. He lied.
That's right. He's known since May. And now you start to see why Donald Trump has been crashing out literally for the last couple of months. He's been really behaving in an erratic way. And now you're starting to see why. You're also starting to maybe see why he sent, or maybe he didn't send, maybe he just proactively did it. J.D. Vance had that rushy meeting out in Montana with the Murdochs. He went out there to meet with them. No one knows what that meeting was about. We cannot say it was necessarily about the Wall Street Journal story, but it was shortly before the Wall Street Journal story dropped about the birthday book, which Donald Trump allegedly wrote a very naughty birthday message to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday and signed his very distinctive magic marker signature where the pubic hair would be. He drew a naked lady and put the pubic hair being his signature. That is what these Wall Street Journal reports. And Donald Trump has been freaking out. He sued. He's filed a lawsuit, a $10 billion or $1 million lawsuit against, what was it? Probably a $10 billion lawsuit, some insane number lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and Dow Jones. He's crashing out over this story, and he's called his own supporters stupid for still, focusing on it. He's obviously afraid of what's in those files.
Let me put this up. This is in the playbook this morning, and I think is this a tweet by Alex Burns' team that we have? Here it is. Yeah. How Trump sees it. Trump has ruminated about the Epstein fallout for weeks. They're going to accuse me of some funny business, he said recently in the Oval Office. That's according to a Republican close to the White House who personally heard the president make these comments. Trump again maintained his distance from Epstein's criminal behavior, but lamented they're going to fuck me anyways.
I mean, it's of his own making. Donald Trump was friends with my best friends. We both interviewed Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff has said very definitively in multiple interviews on both of our shows, he was his best friend for 15 years. There's plenty of visual evidence of that. They are seen partying together. They've been seen partying at Mar-a-Lago together. We now know, per also evidence that CNN actually brought forward, the K files brought forward, that Jeffrey Epstein was at Donald Trump's second wedding when he married
Right.
Marla Maples, the woman he had cheated with Ivana on, the model that is the mother of his least loved daughter, Tiffany. He invited Jeffrey Epstein to that wedding. Okay, so they had a relationship close enough for him to be a wedding guest. They are seen together so many times in so many images, partying together, gawking at women together, pointing at women together. And again, I point you to his other friends. He was hanging in a circle. And so it's not shocking. He was in a circle. Donald Trump also used to have a modeling agency called Trump Model Management. And he was friends with other
What
men.
business did he not
Believe it or
have?
not. I think Paris Hilton used to be signed to Trump Model Management. That's how he knew Paris Hilton, when she was a little girl and would comment about how beautiful she was. And she was like 10 or 11. Gross, right? So he was in this swirl of men, John Casablancas, Luke Brunel, and Donald Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein, who was also running around in that world. So it's not shocking they knew each other. There they are pictured again. These men were best friends. Everyone who knows Donald Trump and who knew Jeffrey Epstein agrees they were best friends.
But yet Donald Trump denies it, and he says it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. And that's what they're saying. It was, but what does that mean? It was a long time ago. You still were friends.
Right. And not for the victims. But for the victims, it's not a long time ago. If you've been victimized and you've been the victim of sexual abuse, it's never a long time ago. It never ends for these victims. Virginia Giuffre is dead. She unalived herself because she was so traumatized by the experience that she had, that she was subjected to by Jeffrey Epstein. And where did Virginia Giuffre come from? She was working as a teenager at Mar-a-Lago. She was hunted by Jeffrey Epstein and his, partner in crime at Mar-a-Lago. That's where she was found. So there's just too many coincidences.
Yeah, her unalive, but it was in Virginia Giuffre. Didn't she get hit by a bus or something? Was that the same person?
I believe Virginia, is she the one? I thought she was the one who ended her own life. I could have that.
There was one. No, but there was one. I forget the names because there's so much going on in my head. But there was one who was alleged to be involved, who said that she was involved with Prince Andrew, and she unalived herself. But then also it was interesting because she had been. I was just reading something on this, and I forget the names because I've been reading so much about it.
Yeah.
That she was. She said she was hit by a bus, but then she said, "I'm not suicidal." And so if anything happens to me, it is fishy. And then, so there you go. But there's so much about this that is fishy now, including Donald Trump for some reason. Well, speaking of, since we're talking about this, let's show this. I'm going to show this video because it's been out there for a while, but people have not really paid that much attention to it because this was sort of a MAGA conspiracy theory. But this is video, surveillance video, and I think it was used in the case, and it's been out there not to incriminate anyone, but I just want to show you, and it is a bit creepy, the music. But this is from December of 2010, and it's surveillance video from Jeffrey Epstein's apartment in New York, and people were surmising like, is this woman looks very young? We don't know. Again, I'm not incriminating. That's the video. This stuff has been out there. And then also in this video, if you look a little bit later on, according to the whoever put this video out, this is alleged to be Prince Andrew in the video as well. So right there, that is supposedly daughter, and then that is supposedly Prince Andrew right there. So yeah, it's
the thing that's so horrific is you think about, I've been reading through the 2006 case against Jeffrey Epstein, and what's the most shocking thing about it is, first of all, the age of the girls. The two girls who were implicated in that case as witnesses were 14 years old. And when that case went to trial, what was not said in the trial or in the case when he did plead guilty and was then labeled a sex offender, no one ever said the girls were 14. So the whole case was adjudicated, not disclosing to those who had to decide what his sentence was going to be, that these were kids, these were children. And the girls were harangued at that time by the prosecutors and said that they were criminals, that they were prostitutes. And so the girls who accused Jeffrey Epstein had no power. They had no money. All they had was their moms and dads trying to get justice for them. And they were essentially told that they were the criminals in many cases. They were made to feel like they were in the wrong. These were girls who were given money to strip down and give naked massages to an adult man, and told they had to do it for other men. They were abused girls, and they were generally girls who were troubled, who were poor, were broke, and no one cared about them. It reminds me so much, Don, there's just so many cases where powerful men hurt young girls and no one cares about them because the girls aren't famous or rich, or you know what I mean? They're not considered important. So they just throw these girls away.
Yeah. And we forget, though, that they're the victims. Like, we just get so caught up in, is his name in it and what? There are actual victims here. And there are also people, there are actual accusers. And we played, my former colleague, Erin Burnett, interviewed an accuser the other night who said that she was at the Helmsley office building that Jeffrey Epstein told her to come meet him there. She happened to be 25 years old.
Yeah.
She said she couldn't even afford, I don't know if you saw the interview, she couldn't even afford a subway.
Yeah, I did.
Token. Then back then, that was when you have tokens and not the just boop on your phone. And she said, I ran up there in my workout clothes and I couldn't even afford it. And I bumped into Donald Trump, according to her, in the offices. And they made some comment about there was some young girl in there, and I thought she was 15 years old, and blah. It was just all of this sort of strange things.
Oh no! Remember, he said to her, she runs in because she had just taken a job for Jeffrey Epstein. Her sister, I think, was 15, and she goes to the Helmsley office building. Where she's going to, because she was told you need to come in late at night, and she didn't even, like you said, have a subway token. So she said, I have to run over. And he said, okay. And there's a rich man telling your impoverished employee, you can go ahead and run on over here. She puts on her gym shorts, runs over. Donald Trump is there in a suit. He's looming over her when she walks in, leering at her. She's very uncomfortable, getting creeper vibes. She's really nervous. And then Jeffrey Epstein walks out into the room and says to Donald Trump, doesn't say anything to her, says to Donald Trump, oh, she's not here for you. Follow me. She's not here for you. Right. Follow me. He then leaves the room with Jeffrey Epstein, which leads this young woman to say, well, who is here for Donald Trump? Because then Donald Trump apparently says, before he turns and walks away, oh, I thought she was 16. And the reason that stayed with this woman in her mind is that her sister was 15. So that scared her, because she's like, why would he be mentioning, I thought she was 16? And that's what she recalls. They have filed a lawsuit trying to, she actually went to the FBI. She's given this information in the past to the FBI, saying that the FBI should look into Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing was ever done. And I believe she has now filed a lawsuit, which is what she was on Aaron's show talking about. She's filed a lawsuit trying to demand information about whatever happened with the reports that she tried to give the government. This was decades.
Yeah, but I think she filed a lawsuit before and it went nowhere. Yes. And I think she may have refiled. I think she did it twice or something, and it went nowhere. But look, I got to ask you, because look, we've been talking about the timeline and all this and just how gross it is. Yes, and the victims, and we must remember it. But we also must remember that there's some what appears to be shady, finagling, something going on behind the scenes. Because again, Pam Bondi told Donald Trump back in May. We had not heard. Had you heard about that? No. Until. Okay, back in May. And then Dick Durbin over in the Illinois, Senator Dick Durbin got information from a whistleblower that Pam Bondi had summoned the troops, the cavalry, and said, we need to figure this out 24/7. Everybody get on it. Here's Dick Durbin.
We were contacted by a highly credible whistleblower describing Attorney General's pressure on FBI to quickly review and produce more Epstein documents as promised. For 2 weeks in late March, the FBI assigned approximately 1,000 personnel in its Information Management Division and hundreds of additional agents from the New York field office to work 24-hour shifts to review and produce more Epstein documents. These officials were told to, quote, flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. Essentially, agents were pulled out of their field from their work combating narcotics and violent crime to review this mountain of documents. Other important FBI work was effectively shut down, according to the whistleblower. Using tens of thousands of personnel hours at the expense of public safety for no other reason than to try to bolster baseless claims you've made is unconscionably reckless.
Joy, something stinks to high heaven. I'm just saying. And I have been saying this one. At first I said, I don't think this is a thing that takes him down, but it does break the spell. I still kind of believe that, but it appears I'm moving over a little bit because this drip, drip, drip is not so good. That action from Pam Bondi and the action from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, of just shutting the House down a day early so that they don't have to vote on this shit. I'm just saying, and going, plus we didn't even mention going to interview Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's right. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's been subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee. And then strangely enough, Speaker Johnson's like, oh, no, we're all going home. we're not going to be doing that. Like she's supposed to now, her date has been moved back, but she has been subpoenaed by House Oversight Committee. This is James Comer, the same guy who was going after Hunter Biden, who I don't know if we're going to have time to talk about Hunter Biden, but like I'm a little obsessed with Hunter Biden.
We can talk. We can talk.
But yeah, something in the milk ain't clean, like the old folks used to say. Why is it that there seems to be this whole government effort to suppress this story when this is one of the things that got Trump elected? Remember, QAnon was his most powerful part of his cult. And the point of the QAnon conspiracy is that there is a global pedophile ring operating, supposedly controlling the world, and Donald Trump is there to stop it. And that he is going to unmask all the pedophiles who the QAnoners believe are all Hollywood people and Democrats and liberals. And he was going to unmask it. One of the people who's been pushing hardest on the idea that there is this pedophile conspiracy to suppress the Epstein files was Kash Patel when he was a podcaster. Dan Bongino as a podcaster. Both were pushing this really hard. Now they're both in a position. Kash Patel said, he told Glenn Beck on his podcast that the FBI director is the one who has control of the Epstein files and can release it. Well, now, dude, you're the FBI director. Kash Patel's been mad quiet. Pam Bondi became Attorney General of Florida not long after the Jeffrey Epstein sweet deal that he got from Alex Acosta. I always get the guy's name wrong. I think his name is Alex Acosta, the former
Alex Acosta,
Alex Acosta, who then turns around and becomes Donald Trump, goes into Donald Trump's cabinet. You've got all of these. It just feels conspiratorial. Bill Barr, who is Donald Trump's former attorney general during his first term, his father is who hired Jeffrey Epstein to be a math teacher at the Dalton School, this elite school in Manhattan, from which he goes directly from math teacher to the top investment manager on Wall Street with no experience. He gets Lex Wexner, who is the guy who owns Victoria's Secret, to be his first client. You go from math teacher to the guy running Victoria's Secret,
billionaire's
money
from that. But then I think he becomes a billionaire. He becomes one of the wealthiest people in New York City, and definitely had the biggest residential property in the city because he was investing apparently Lex Wexner's money, and there were some other things that people were like, something's different about this relationship. I'm just saying.
And then he meets Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father, Robert Maxwell, was a Mossad agent. That is why people want to know if Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent or was working for the CIA. Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the one procuring young girls for him, which is why she's spending 20 years in prison. She is appealing her sentence. That is the reason she's been so quiet. Her dad was Mossad. That is the Israeli intelligence version of the CIA. So this is what, so the QAnon people, which is why I wrote for my Substack, the QAnon people may have had some things right. They just may have identified the wrong individual.
Let's put up Joy. It's on Joy Substack. And Joy, we want to promote a Substack. It's very important. It's very important that you support Joy. Go to her Substack. And is it Joy Reid or is it Joy Reid Show?
JoyAnnReid.com. Yes.
JoyAnnReid.com. So you go to JoyAnnReid.com, you can click and you can find everything. But Joy has this up on the Substack. Joy, I want to talk to you because I know, look, I'm glad that you mentioned Hunter Biden. And if you're passionate about it, I want you to talk about it. But give me 2 minutes. Let me get a word in from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that. So support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from Lean. Have you heard of Caralluma? It is an edible cactus that grows in India, and it's a natural appetite suppressant. So Caralluma is just one of the natural ingredients doctors added to this remarkable weight loss supplement called Lean. Lean. So if you have a bold summer weight loss goal, but injections aren't for you, well, here's what doctors who formulated Lean said. They said that this supplement is as close as they have come to the benefits of those popular injections. So like injections, Lean was created to maintain healthy blood sugar and to control appetite cravings. Okay, appetite and cravings. So these rare ingredients in Lean are also designed to help burn fat and convert fat into energy. And the best part, there's no needles. It's just real results. It is natural. So doctors created a healthier way to lose weight by capturing the power of natural ingredients like Caralluma, and it's just smart. So let me get you started. 20% off. Okay, everyone? Just use the code LEMON20, LEMON20 at takelean.com. That's LEMON20 at takelean.com, TAKELEAN.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent any disease, and it is not a substitute or alternative for care from a health care provider. And just tell you, always check with your health provider. Also, support for the Don Lemon Show comes from 120 Life. Okay, so you guys know, I mean, I do it every day. It's not even a thing. It's for real. Every day. I'm not even finished with it. I do it. So I believe in this product. Do you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? 1 in 2 adults has it. That is a 50-50 chance that you're a walking time bomb. So here's the good news. You can take control of your blood pressure naturally without relying on Big Pharma. 120 Life is a blend of great tasting superfruit juices that have been shown to actually help lower your blood pressure. It's not just for high blood pressure. It's also beneficial for other health conditions like diabetes. Okay. So 120 Life is trusted by healthcare professionals. Hundreds of doctors recommending it to help manage blood pressure naturally. It provides visible, measurable changes in blood pressure, and you can use a simple monitor at home to track your progress. So for a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20% off. Just use the code DON at checkout at 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial with a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. So go to 120life.com and use the code DON, D-O-N, to save 20% off. There's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers. Again, go to 120 Life, use the code DON to get 20% off. Remember, you got to use DON if you want to get that special offer. This is serious. This is your life we're talking about. 120 Life can help. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Okay, Miss Joy Reid back with us. Yeah. Joy, let's talk about it. Now, look, I want to hear what you have to say about Hunter Biden. I'll tell you, I'll say my piece about Hunter. What say you?
I think the biggest mistake that the Joe Biden administration made, other than allowing a genocide in Gaza, which I think was a fatal error for that administration, the other big mistake was hiding Hunter Biden. Like, where has this guy been the whole time? He is the best spokesperson for his father, best spokesperson for the administration, best spokesperson for, coming back from adversity. Like, where's this guy been? I remember we tried to get interviews with Hunter during the whole administration. You could never get him. He was never available. They hid him in a bushel. They were embarrassed, I guess, of him, or they were just trying to protect him, whatever. This dude cooked for like 3 hours, and I love it. I'm obsessed. Running for president. Hunter for president.
Okay. All right. So we're on the same page, except here's what I think. I think he had, I didn't disagree with much of what he had to say. I didn't agree with all of it. No. I just thought the timing was off. I just thought this was it for me, an evergreen that he could have said tomorrow, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month, because the important story to discuss now is Jeffrey Epstein. That's it. But I didn't. Hey, Hunter,
I agree with the timing. You're right. It blew up. I think it would have gone further if they'd held on to it. But I don't know that the Jeffrey Epstein news cycle is going to end, though, Don. I don't know if it ends. I mean, the drip is not getting better for Trump, and I think it just gets worse and worse as we get closer to, off-year elections. I just don't see it getting better for Trump. So I don't know that there was an ideal time to drop it, but I'm with you. I mean, I'm always dropping it at the best news time, because this was a gold interview.
He was cooking.
I just wish I had it. I'm just jealous of the journalists, because I've been wanting this interview forever. Hunter Biden, it's so interesting. He's supposed to be the worse of the two brothers. Like the other brother was like Golden Boy, and but I'm like, then the Golden Boy must have been the bomb, because Hunter is sharp. He explained crack cocaine like he was talking about real science. He was like, he had like a scientific understanding of crack. And I feel like maybe what we deserve in this moment is a president who has a scientific understanding of crack cocaine. Because he was like, oh, no, crack is whole different from different. He's like, it is the same thing as cocaine. He gave the ingredients. He's like, I don't want to show you how to make it. Let me explain how it's different from freebase. I'm like, you know what? I kind of respect that energy, Hunter. He's unashamed, unembarrassed. He's like, I am who I am. Y'all smoke crack. What? I love it.
Oh, wow. You watch. I didn't know. I saw mostly the clips. You watched the whole entire thing.
I haven't even seen it all, Don. I can't get enough clips. I've been seeing it in clip form. I'm about to sit down and watch the whole daggone thing because, baby, I love Hunter Biden. I'm like, hey, this is who they've been hiding all this time. Where's he been?
We may have to write about Hunter Biden. Well, look, sitting by, waiting for us now is the great journalist, Mark Caputo. Mark, I'm sure you're laughing at what we're saying. This is not something I'm sure you thought you would be listening to this morning. Mark has the latest piece up. Let's put his piece up. You have music going on, Mark? What's that? No.
I'm trying to turn the brightness down so it doesn't reflect. I didn't realize I was getting called in that fast.
No, that's okay, Mark. Let's see if you were not ready. Mark's latest piece about Epstein, his reporting here about how the White House responded internally to Trump being asked if Bondi briefed him about the files. It is an Axios, and it's called the Trump-Epstein question that put the White House in a tizzy. Mark, welcome to the program, and I'm sure that you didn't think you'd be joining us on a little Hunter Biden talk.
No, I mean, morning. I got to agree with Joy. Is like authenticity is the coin of the realm. Now, I'm not sure he would have made a great spokesman during the campaign, but like if Hunter Biden is going to be who he is and authenticity is the coin of the realm, then yeah, I mean, I thought like, well, the dude's got a message and he's compelling, and our elections are just changing rapidly. Why not?
Let's talk about, okay. All right. Look, I think we may run the Hunter Biden as much of the interview as possible, because I do think that you're right.
It's 3 hours.
It's but Don, can I suggest, if you want to play one clip, and being really serious, I laughed about the crack and freebase part of it, but Hunter Biden gave one of the most succinct 2-minute explanations of this country's decline from Reconstruction that honestly I have heard in an interview. He gave a recitation of our history and how we destroyed Reconstruction and took our country from what could have been a proper multiracial democracy to hell. He did that in like 2 skinny minutes, and I was duly impressed.
Thank you, Andrew Johnson. Right, Andrew Johnson really is possibly America's worst president.
Well, I did not see that part. I just saw where he really read the Democratic Party for filth about how they handle his dad and this entire past election. And I thought that was very succinct. I also thought that he was somehow the soul of Michael Fanone had entered Hunter Biden's body, because every other word was an F-bomb. So.
I love a cussing. Look, I'm a cussing Christian. I love somebody who use the F word a lot, because I suppress it daily because I want to say the F-bomb continuously. So I respect it. He did it like a Brit. He just dropped the bombs. I loved it. It was Michael Fanone style, and I love it. And we love Michael Fanone. So
the Trump-Epstein question that put the White House in a tizzy. It has been reported by Mark Caputo. Mark, great reporting on that. And that Donald Trump is, I mean, you can see that he is spiraling. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But you have the behind the scenes in the White House and how they're spiraling out, or at least they're in a tizzy. Talk to us about that. Your latest piece, please. It's up in Axios.
So the first story I'd sort of written about the Epstein case with Trump and this White House was the story about how Dan Bongino, the FBI deputy director, and Pam Bondi had gotten in this fight on a Wednesday, and I've lost track of days. And right after that fight, they got posed with a question from a reporter from a different outlet. Hey, we heard Pam Bondi had told Donald Trump he's in the Epstein files. And when this landed at the White House, there was this sort of like, shit, we got to deal with this. And the reason there's that, shit, we got to deal with this sense there at the White House is everyone knows he's in the Epstein files. It would be impossible for him not to be there. the friendship between Epstein and Trump is beyond dispute for at least a decade, maybe 2 decades, like the 90s and the early aughts, or but it's probably, I should amend that. It's at least a decade in the 90s. And I think it ends in the early aughts. And so because of the scope and breadth of not only the investigation that had taken place at the federal government, the federal level, but the number of civil lawsuits, it's impossible for Donald Trump's name not to be in there. Now, the question is he in there as an actual suspect? We don't know. It's fair to think that there are some people who might have accused him, but by and large, there wasn't obviously enough actionable because he never got charged. He could have been charged by Merrick Garland's Department of Justice. He wasn't. But that's just us sort of surmising of what's there. But we always surmised, and the White House surmises, and accurately so, that his name was always in the files. And apparently he was told this at a certain point. And the reason the White House doesn't want to deal with this is that Donald Trump doesn't want to deal with this. And this administration, like all of them, or perhaps to a greater degree than all of them, just revolves around the star of the president. And if the president doesn't want to deal with something, no one wants to deal with it. There's a quote I'm paraphrasing in there from the story where they say something like, this is going to piss off the president, and a pissed off Donald Trump is no fun for anybody. And so now we have many days later, the Wall Street Journal has reported about that specific meeting apparently took place in May. The Wall Street Journal is also reporting that there's no evidence that they have so far that shows that Donald Trump was considered a legitimate suspect and blah, 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 blah. But the fact is, if you are listed as a friend of a child sex offender, it's not good. And it's going to wind up in headlines, hence these headlines.
Well, I agree with you. And everyone's saying, people have been saying, well, why on earth, if there isn't something bad in there, we haven't said, let me say that again. If there was something bad in there, as you said, then why didn't the Biden folks or Merrick Garland or any of them do it? And there must not be anything bad. But I think in this MAGA world, Mark, where they are so obsessed with this particular subject, especially involving children, right? We remember Pizzagate.
Sure.
Even just if it's tangential, even it's just a, sort of just a nominal, if you say a passing sort of relationship or mention, it's not good for Donald Trump.
It's never good to be mentioned in these sorts of investigative documents for anybody. But let's just be clear about a few things. Number one, this is what political karma looks like. Donald Trump, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, others in the MAGAverse, for a long time, it hyped this up. We need to release all the Epstein files. So that's one thing. Welcome to the law of action and reaction. Then there's another thing. Yes, Merrick Garland didn't charge Donald Trump because it is fair to assume that there was not evidence in there that merited charging. And the reason that Merrick Garland didn't go out and try to release the files is that he shouldn't. You shouldn't release grand jury files. You shouldn't release transcripts of someone, at least in the long DOJ history, and DOJ, back to our conversation about Reconstruction, I think was founded under President Grant after the terrible Andrew Johnson period. But the fact is DOJ's history is you don't release information about people who are not actually charged because you don't want to unfairly tar and feather them in the public arena. So until the Trump presidency took over, that was the guiding principle of DOJ. Now they're just sort of stuck in the karma of their own rhetoric. And this is where we are. Could there be stuff in the files that looks bad for Trump simply beyond guilt by association? Yes, of course there could be. I don't have that information. We're just talking about possibilities. But in the end, at the very least, it's the guilt by association stuff that Trump doesn't want to deal with, but that he's just going to be stuck with.
Let me ask you, because we've been talking about the timeline here, and that's very important. And, we played it earlier, and the soundbite we're talking about, and that is with Donald Trump. He's on the White House lawn with Caroline Leavitt, and he's been asked by a reporter if Pam Bondi had informed him in any way that his name had been mentioned in the Epstein files, and he said no. You've gone through the time.
Yeah.
No. So you write about it. I read about it in Axios, where there's a picture of him standing there with the pink tie on, right? And did he just flat out lie?
I don't know. I don't have I would suspect he did, but I don't have an exact readout of the meeting that the Wall Street Journal had reported. And so, again, I guess, did he not tell the truth? Yes, that is my guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
Is it possible that Donald Trump actually wasn't in the meeting where Susie Wiles had mentioned, or better said, where Pam Bondi had mentioned, hey, Donald Trump is in these files? Yeah, that's possible. And so technically it could be true. I don't know. These are the sorts of things we can sort of speculate in Trump world. Well, again, I think the clearest thing is this is not an issue that Donald Trump wants to deal with. And he has to deal with it. And that's his sort of biggest problem. They're hoping it's going to burn out, but man, there's not a lot of sign of that in the short term.
Well, you said you weren't in the room, but and you write about the timeline in your piece. But in May, this is the Wall Street Journal. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. That's what they're reporting.
Yeah. So I mean, if their reporting is correct, then yeah, he did lie.
He did lie.
There are a number of possibilities, but I'll leave the possibilities for explaining that to his folks.
I want to play this again, Mark, because I think it's important. I played it for Joy Reid, and I just want to get your Miss Joy Reid. I want to get your response, and this is a deposition from Jeffrey Epstein. Here it is.
Where he pleads the fifth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Great.
Okay. Yeah. So
I mean, understand
let
that.
me just say this, Mark, before you answer. The Fifth Amendment right is a protection against self-incrimination, double jeopardy, and the guarantee of due process. Sixth Amendment right is the right to a speedy and public trial, the right to an impartial jury, and the right to be informed of the nature and cause of accusations, the right to confront witnesses, the right to compulsory process for obtaining witnesses, and the right to assistance of counsel. And the 14th Amendment is citizenship, due process, equal protection, and the privileges and immunities of citizens. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were in the same room where there were underage girls, and that was during a beauty pageant. So we know that for a fact. The reason Jeffrey Epstein didn't want to admit that is that it puts him in the room with underage girls. The problem that Donald Trump has is when you associate with guys who wind up being sex offenders and then they're asked about it in civil cases, they plead the fifth. You look bad. Hence your White House being in a tizzy. Not good.
Mark,
not great.
No, Mark, what is it?
Not
Then
great.
take us behind the scenes. What is happening? I know you, and I know you've done more reporting since then. So then now where is the White House? If you said that they're in a tizzy, what is the spin? It appears the spin to get out of this tizzy, which is a conspiracy theory, and their inclination is to use another conspiracy theory for which there is no evidence in order to get out of the conspiracy theory cycle, and that is the Barack Obama conspiracy theory. So, which doesn't seem is going to pan out. And then I have another question that's so frustrating for me, but I mean, you know.
Well, I was off for 5 days, so today is my first day back, and in that time, the Gabbard report came out that you're talking about. And last night I started asking, like, okay, well, like, which reports are we talking about? So I'm in the process of going through those. The media coverage so far toward Gabbard has been pretty not favorable because, well, number one, thanks to Donald Trump, you can't criminally charge Barack Obama anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Because Donald Trump got the U.S. Supreme Court to say that presidents have immunity for official acts. And when Barack Obama was president, he apparently directed, or he certainly participated in his intelligence agencies producing intelligence reports that are now disputed, charitably speaking, by the Trump administration. But nevertheless, that's an official act by Donald Trump. So for Tulsi Gabbard to say, oh, this is a criminal thing, and Barack Obama needs to be prosecuted for it, you can't. And the reason you can't It's thanks to the Roberts Court and thanks to the Donald Trump lawsuit that led them there. So we'll put that aside. From what I can tell, and I need to do more reading of the primary documents, including a House HPSI, a House Intelligence Committee report from 2017 that was then amended in 2020, and that was just released on Friday. But all of that having been said, is the best available evidence that I can see is that Tulsi Gabbard is conflating the idea that, oh, since the Russians didn't actually hack the tabulation equipment, therefore there was no Russian interference. And as has been pointed out, even one of the Senate committees co-chaired or participated in by then Senator Marco Rubio, now the Secretary of State, says, no, Russia did interfere. They did stuff, and they thumbed the scale in favor of Donald Trump more than of Hillary Clinton. Hence the WikiLeaks hacking that occurred and the like. I have yet to hear a compelling reason, and I didn't watch yesterday's press conference with Tulsi Gabbard.
There was no compelling reason, Mark.
Okay, of how they get out of that. But to your point, this looks like a short-term burn that they're hoping catches fire, and I think the straws just kind of burn out on that. I mean, it's going to go on for some time, but the reality is like Donald Trump got ratioed on his own Truth Social platform over Epstein, and he still does today, where people are like, okay, great, release the Epstein files. And it's not just liberals. I don't think it's just liberals like piling on like, hey, I'm going to do a Truth Social account just to troll the president. But I mean, to his credit, Donald Trump is bringing the left and the right together on this, because you're having the MAGA base and liberals who are all like, hey, let's see more of the Epstein files. Just to be clear, again, that would be a serious departure from long-standing DOJ practice to release that stuff. And Donald Trump is just sort of stuck there.
Well, let me just say this, because you answered the first part of my next question already, but I'm gonna do it again. But I want to play this because this moment yesterday stuck out to me, and I was like, man, I needed to be in that briefing room. Joy needed to be in that briefing room. Mark Caputo needed to be in that briefing room. When she gave this answer and the lack of a follow-up for me, I was like, wait, what? All of you people, journalists sitting there, there was an obvious follow-up. Here it is. Here's the moment.
Sure. Given what the DNI just said and laid out, does President Trump believe that President Obama should go to jail for something?
Look, the president believes that this matter needs to be thoroughly investigated, and anyone convicted of crime should be held accountable in this country. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Miss Levitt. Excuse me, Miss Levitt. Does that apply to Donald Trump as well, who is a convicted felon on 34 counts? Is that not? Nobody in the room?
No.
I mean, I would have been more wonky, and I would have said, but it's an official act, and thanks to Donald Trump.
Yeah, that would be my next follow after that, Mark.
The existing felonies, he's never been held account for. These people talking about criminals, criminal aliens coming across the border, everything's a crime, criminals. Trump is a criminal. He's a literal convicted felon. It's insane for them to be going on about criminals. It just makes no sense. No sense.
Yeah, and that's why I said you answer the first part of my next question, because that would have been my follow after that. Well, then why are we going through this then? If
but you don't get a follow. You don't usually get a follow in those White House.
They would have kicked me out by now. They would have kicked me out by now. Yeah, I'd be like, no, excuse me. Hang on, please. And so I would be banned from there. Okay, guys, thank you both. I mean, unless you have any parting words, no, nothing.
Can I give one parting comment that I think is actually the thing that is the reason I'm covering this as well as you are, Don, not just because of the Schadenfreude aspect of it. It's also because Donald Trump, the main feature of him for his base is that he's supposed to be all powerful and that he's a promise keeper. In these two ways, he's showing that is bullshit. He's not keeping one of his foremost promises during the election. They were going to release the files, JFK, MLK, and Epstein. He's dumped the MLK files against the family's wishes. He doesn't care about how they feel about that. He doesn't care. But on this, he weirdly saying he won't do it. But then also he's not keeping a promise. And if he is all powerful, why is the one thing Donald Trump cannot accomplish releasing the Epstein files? If you all powerful, Don, do it. You, not Don, but Donald. If you are all powerful, Donald Trump, Release the Epstein files. Show us your power. You're supposed to be a king. Release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing you have to understand is this is a cumulative problem for him. Is yes, it was overblown in the media, the discomfort in the MAGAverse over participating with Israel on the bombing of Iran. But nevertheless, there was this parboil in his base of, wait a minute, I thought we weren't going to do new wars. And now we're bombing Iran. So that happened. And then Trump basically finally coming to grips with the fact that turns out Putin's not on the level. It has decided to go figure to and I understand the tactical reasons for it, the strategic or whatever reasons, to give more weapons to Ukraine. Well, this base didn't want that. A lot of people did not in the Republican base don't want to arm Ukraine. And then you come to Epstein. So you start to hit those sort of magic threes. Now they have immigration enforcement, which the base loves, and they have tax cuts. I'm not sure the degree to which tax cuts are going to be a huge benefit politically to the party, because they're just keeping tax rates for most people where they are. So it's not like people can be like, hey, man, I now have an extra $500 in my pocket because the rate from last year was cut. No, it's just maintained. And so the Republican Party is walking into a midterm with an element of the Trump base that's like, fuck it, I'm out of here. Andrew Schultz, the comedian or podcast host, is kind of a good example of that. There's questions on Joe Rogan and the like. So that
have you seen Nick Fuentes? Have you seen Candace Owens? I mean, it's
I try not to. I mean, Candace Owens is being sued by the French president's wife.
Yes. Joy and I were texting about that last night. Yes. Joy, he's all up in our text messages right now.
Oh my gosh, he's spying on our text messages. I mean, first of all, they should sue her. That is so vile what she did to that woman. Like, that is so.
And there's pictures of the woman when she was like a young woman, like she was a young woman. So,
Candace Owens is relishing in this. That's what she wanted, and I mean the libel and slander laws in this country. No. You think?
I think she's gonna lose.
I think she could. I mean, Alex Jones is still alive after that landmark lawsuit for the.
How is that possible, Mark? It wasn't like $1 billion or $2 billion.
But I think it cost him though. I think it cost him. I mean, at a certain point, I think this is going to be more of a problem for Candace Owens than she would like. Now, what that trial looks like in Discovery looks like, do you inspect the genitals of the president of France's wife? Like, what the fuck is going to happen there? Like, I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, how do you do Discovery? Do you have?
I think that look. I think birth certificates and that kind of shit. Yeah, I mean, but wow, it is
birth certificates. Yeah. She was born in Indonesia, right? We're gonna go there. Sorry, it's birth certificate. But it's gonna be that's gonna be a trial to watch or a case to watch.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry, I went off script.
No, we love this. By the way, Joy, you are a brave woman, because I have been invited. I just don't do panels, right? But for the most part, but you are a brave woman to go on to that damn Piers Morgan show, because I would have to cut a bitch.
Listen, I got to run because I have another call, but I will tell you this one thing. I only put it together afterwards, or when he started the interview with, "You blocked me on Twitter."
Yeah.
That was his opening question. "You blocked me on Twitter." And I was like, I haven't been on Twitter in years. He's like, yeah, well, that was before Elon. I was like, you're that guy. Yeah. You don't like
the guy who got blocked.
He got ghosted by Meghan Markle, and then he decided to run a complete smear campaign on Meghan Markle. He fell out with Omarosa because Omarosa turned on Trump. And then he made up a lie that she tried to get him into a sexcapade for money viciously. I'm like, you're that guy who don't like it when people block you on social and aren't your friend. Got it. That's my diagnosis.
Yeah. Thank you both.
Behavior.
Thank you for coming right after
the see you, Joy. I'll see you guys.
Mark, thank you guys. Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye. Caputo, Joy Reid. Fantastic. We're so happy to have them. So wow, and we still have more. Okay, so real quickly, don't go away because I got to show you some other stuff. Okay, so support for the Don Lemon Show today comes from Z-Biotics. You guys know I've been talking about Z-Biotics. It works. I did not do it last night, and I should have. I should have done it last night, and I didn't because I'm out. So I need to order some more. I have to tell you about this game-changing product that I use before a night out of drinks, and it is called Pre-Alcohol. Again, Z-Biotics is a sponsor of today's program. Z-Biotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic drink, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is the buildup of that byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough mornings after drinking. Okay, so pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that helps to break down that byproduct. Okay, so just remember, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. That's why I said I should have done it last night. I'm out. I got to order Z-Biotics. Come on, please get here. Get here. I need you guys. I need you guys. Okay, so you guys know I first gave it a try earlier in late spring, early summer, and I found it was amazing. I felt great the next day. So summer's here, which means lots of opportunities to celebrate out in the warm weather, barbecuing, grilling, cocktail at the campfire, sunset at the beach, or whatever. Just remember, don't forget to take your Z-Biotic pre-alcohol. Drink one before drinking. And wake up feeling great the next day, all day, to take on whatever the summer has to offer. Go to zbiotics.com/lemon, learn more, and get 15% off of your first order when you use lemon, Lemon, to check out. Z-Biotics is backed a 100% money back guarantee. If you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. And remember to head to zbiotics.com/lemon, use the code lemon at checkout for 15% off. Support for the Don Lemon Show also is sponsored by Chef IQ. Tried it this weekend, loved it. Did not have to sweat over the grill. I had this, you guys heard of the Traeger smoker? I had the Traeger going and it was smoking, and then we turned it up and did the whole thing. But I did not have to sit there the entire time and worry about what's going on. And then we had some other stuff going on in the oven. And so we use these things. It is amazing. It is amazing what they do. Your eyebrows aren't getting singed. You can have time to hang out, whatever. So all those days are gone of having to, slave over a hot grill with Chef IQ Sense. I'm ready for the Food Network. Okay. Chef IQ Sense is a brilliantly simple cooking sensor that goes into whatever I'm cooking. It's like a meat thermometer, but wireless and way smarter. And it takes the stress out of not knowing if your meat will come out good. So, here's what you do. I just enter what I'm cooking into the Chef IQ Sense app, steaks, chicken, fish, or whatever, and it tells you what it's going to need to do, where it should go, how you want it. Do I want well done, medium, whatever, and then it just beeps. It sends a thing to your phone. Go take this off the grill now. It is ready. That easy. Okay. It sends an alert to your smartphone. So here's what you need to do, because they're offering a flash sale right now. You need to jump on this. Summer grilling season is here, and Chef IQ Sense makes you a grill master. And during their flash sale, I should say, you're going to get 15% off. So visit chefiq.com and promo code lemon. Again, that's chef, CHEFIQ.com, promo code lemon. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors. Okay, back now to the program. All right, so you guys saw the video of that deposition that I showed you that is resurfaced. This was the breaking news yesterday for all of us. And I think Seth Meyers is all of us. And then I'm going to get into what else happened. Here it is.
And what's that? Sorry? A new Epstein story broke right before we started taping? Well,
that happened to us
yesterday.
That's
fine. I'm sure it's not that big of a deal.
We have some breaking news. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Justice Department told Donald Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Again, this is from the Wall Street Journal, and I'll read a little bit from the article. When Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times, according to senior administration officials. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files.
Well, infrastructure, we're going to talk about this. You know, the hardest part of that meeting was everyone having to pretend to be surprised. Mr. President, we have some shocking news. Your name is in The Epstein files. I mean, I can't believe I was only friends with him for what, 15 years? I'm sure this will only rattle Trump more. And Trump hasn't exactly been known for keeping his cool during his 10 years as a politician. For example, this is a picture from his first term as president. He looks like something that would pop out of a bush in the rainforest.
All right, we get it.
That did not look like the rainforest.
But that was the breaking news yesterday, and that's how we felt, because I was on live with Jim Acosta when Jim said, Don, did you see the Wall Street Journal story? I said, no. We talked about it, and then Jim Acosta came on the program, and we continued to discuss it yesterday evening. But so that was kind of how we all felt. We were all Seth Meyers yesterday. Just real quickly, and this is a little bit more serious, all right? Donald Trump has been saying a lot of things about a lot of things, and he doesn't know anybody. He's never heard of people. I've never met that person. I don't know what you're talking about. Pam Bondi never, mentioned to me that informed me that I was in the Epstein files. I had no idea. Who knows? He does it every single time that there is something that could be detrimental to him, or that he doesn't like, or if he's accused of something, some wrongdoing, then he just pretends he doesn't know anything about anything. Okay? He just pretends he doesn't know anything about anything. Except for, not except for, but it's odd that he would say this about Ghislaine Maxwell. And when you consider that there are actual victims involved in this is not a hoax. Jeffrey Epstein went to prison. Ghislaine Maxwell is sitting in prison. The Deputy Attorney General wants to interview Ghislaine Maxwell. Maybe, is it a possible plea deal? Is it, who knows what it is? Or is it not a plea deal, but some way of being pardoned, or some deal that they're going to make for her to be quiet? We don't know what it is. But it is certainly interesting that Donald Trump wished Ghislaine Maxwell well back in the day. Lawrence O'Donnell talked about it. Here it is.
She was in 8th grade when Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell together raped her. Donald Trump has never said, I wish her well, about that victim of Jeffrey Epstein, or any victim of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Donald Trump reserves all of his sympathies, all of his good feelings in the Epstein-Maxwell child rape story for Ghislaine Maxwell and no one else. What is Todd Blanche going to say to Ghislaine Maxwell? Is he going to wish her well? Are there any other convicted criminal defendants in federal prison tonight around the country who did not testify at their trials who Todd Blanche wants to talk to about anything? Of course not. There's just one. The person who was there with Jeffrey Epstein committing the crimes at the very time that Donald Trump said Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy, at exactly that same time.
There you go. Thank you, Lawrence. Something to ponder as we go about our day. Why is it? You guys keep saying, not you guys. I hear folks all the time, and then some folks in the chat who say, oh my gosh, look at this. I did not have this on. You guys have to tell me. I have been hearing people a lot saying, well, this story has no legs. Donald Trump is going to get away with it. It's going to go out of the news cycle, blah, blah. Oh, that's all possible. But us Pisces, it sounds weird, Southerners, folks who've been around for a long time, the old people who be knowing, you get a sense about certain things. You're like, this one is different. This one is different. And I've been saying that for a while. And I've been actually having to defend running Epstein on the channel because people thought like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not going to. And I said, Epstein. Have I not been saying that? And that this one is different. And that I don't know if it's going to take Donald Trump out of office. I'm not sure. I don't believe so. But I do believe that this breaks the spell. I hate to keep saying that, but that's true because this sort of cult-like following that Donald Trump has, it's a spell. And it's just like everything has energy. Drugs have energy, everything. And this whole sort of cult-like attraction that these folks have for Donald Trump, regardless of what it's rooted in, whether it's rooted in racism, sexism, whatever ism it may be rooted in, supremacy, all of those things. Some of it is sort of then, I went to a therapist once, a former therapist, who said, there was sort of an erotic attraction for Donald Trump for these people, whether it be men or women. I'm like, are you sure? To the therapist, I wasn't so sure. And then now years later, she retired. And now years later, I'm like, wow, she was right about that. And so so in order to break all of those spells and all of the things that we have been taught and the inner things and all of the pain bodies and everything that we carry, you have to there's got to be a moment that sort of jolts you into reality and breaks the spell. And I think that's this one for Donald Trump. And I think that a lot of the folks, I know that in my soul, a lot of the folks who have been so attracted to him and who have just been anything that he says or does, they just make an excuse for it because they believe, it's Teflon, and they don't realize that it's a sort of a self-fulfilling cycle, that the reason he's Teflon is because they are enabling him. And it's like, you don't get that. And people are sort of fear him because it's a self-fulfilling cycle, because people are enabling him, because he really preys on people and he's attracted to people who, their worst sort of sensibilities. If you have this obsession with money and possessions and to aspirational, and you want all these things, you want to be able to say whatever you want without consequence. You want to be able to have as much money as possible. You want, maybe I can have my own plane, or I can just say shit and I can talk crap about women and about people of color and about immigrants, and I can do all these things. It becomes aspirational people, and they want to be that, right? They figure, that way, I can have all these things that I want, and I don't have to do it the right way. Some folks believing because they're entitled to it, and that's what's called privilege, and that someone else is taking away what is rightfully yours, and they don't deserve it because of something else that is outside of you when it is really you. That maybe you're just not achieving as much as you think that you should. Maybe you're just not smart enough. Maybe you're just not good at that particular thing. So for whatever the reasons are that people have this weird attraction to Donald Trump, this just sort of cuts through in a way before that other things didn't do. And it exposes Donald Trump and a lot of people. It exposes them either for the grift that it is, that they have been making money off of it, clicks, their reputations, their careers off of it, of conspiracy theories that panned out not to be anything, off of a lie, but saying, oh my God, it's the Democrats and there's all this cabal of people. And it turns out it is possibly the very same person who you have deified. That's jarring for a lot of people. And then you go, huh. It's like the Latino folks now, or some of the people who didn't believe, minorities who didn't believe when Black folks would say, stop and frisk, or I get stopped for nothing and I'm treated differently or whatever. And then now all of a sudden that ICE is showing up and shit. And they're like, oh, wow, maybe I will not vote for Donald Trump. Everybody's a wake-up call. This is a MAGA Donald Trump wake-up call. It's that loud alarm. The alarm that you hear when people on their phones. That's this. Wake up, folks. This could be the thing that spells the beginning of the end of this horrible cycle that we have lived through. It's going to take a while. He's still in office. They're still in charge of almost every lever of government. The MAGA folks. But now they see that there is that the emperor He's not wearing any clothes. Maybe that's the issue that he's trying to hide. Who knows? I'm just saying, maybe. That he's not wearing any clothes with the wrong people. See you back here at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Turn the TV off. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you.